Well, hello and welcome back to another evening of racing here at Syndicate Motorsport. We are here at round 3 of our BTCC League, and this time it takes us to Macau, which is the first of the street circuits we have in the championship thus far. We've just finished qualifying. I've just got the stream started, just ready for the first race. As ever, there'll be 2 races back to back today, each 20 minutes long. And it looks like we have about 8 drivers joining us for today's race. We have standings, which I'll go through in a second, but hey Carlover, hey Gower, hope you're both doing well, good to see you. Yeah, so standings after the first 2 rounds are Forrest McCormack is joint first with Eric Axelson, both on 56 points. We've got Andrew in 3rd place with 50 points, Drift 340 is 4th with 48 points, Viles and Sketty both joint 5th with 45 points. Quentin 7th place with 44 points. And we got Binding and Akshik joint 8th place with 43 points apiece. Alien is 10th with 41 points, and Erdy with 37 points in 11th place. We also have Martin Toop with 36 points, and then Box is 13th with 35 points, followed by Paposu with 32 points in 4th place thus far. So it looks like Andrew currently has taken the pole position with a 2:30.847, and that puts him a good chunk of time ahead of the next fastest car, which is about 3 tenths behind. The rest of the grid seems relatively spread out actually into Erdy in P4, who's joint kind of 35s with Red. So Erdy's doing really well actually. It's not often to see Erdy out high up the board, which is great to see. But a street circuit is, as ever, going to be a challenge, especially one as narrow as Macau. So I'm going to be, ready on that restart button just in case, but hopefully we don't need it. So out of our 14 drivers, I think we got a few missing. I know Akshik's away this weekend and won't be able to join us. He is to be at Zolder in life. But hopefully we have a good race coming up today. So a few moments to go until we kick off with race number 1. We of course are running ballast in this championship, and that's been all updated. Should be a little bit of that going on. I think the amount of ballast that's been applied is somewhere in the region of, I'm just trying to find the image that explains it. Yeah, so Forrest McCormack and Eric have 31 and 41 kilos respectively. By far the highest amount in the championship at the moment, on account of their speed. How we get on in a few moments as the first of our 2 races here kicks off. About 35 seconds to go. Lights are up, engines are revving. And away we go. Andrew off to a good start there with Eric in the Honda coming up in the rear, but Forrest McCormack off to a good start in the BMW coming down the left hand side, looking for a way through. Of course, very narrow track, so not a lot of room for overtaking or manoeuvring. And so far so good. Everyone keeping it relatively clean. And Eric looking for a little bit of a run down the right hand side here, but he's going to have to wait a little bit longer. Calipers glowing on the Honda as they go into the first of the right-handers. And thus far, everyone seems to be getting through in one piece. Biles up to P3 there in the Toyota. Seems to be missing a livery. I'll have to get that installed. But so far, the grid remains relatively tight. It's a little bit like Monaco in some regards. Further back in P4, got Binding, who's currently got COVID. Possibly holding up Forrest McCormack, but we'll let Forrest deal with that. In the background, Erdy just bouncing off the wall there, catching a little bit of the concrete. Hopefully not too much damage for Erdy. Just how narrow this circuit is in parts, as you Forrest McCormack there trying to sneak on through. Thank you, Neo, for the sub. Up at the front here we have Andrew and Eric battling away. Eric trying to find a way through. But he's 0.4 of a second behind Andrew at the moment, and I'm just going to have to work a little bit harder to try and catch up. Close as possible to the wall without actually hitting it. So everyone is running on the medium compound. But tyres shouldn't be too much of an issue here in a 20-minute race at Macau. A bit more spread occurring across the grid now as the faster drivers separate themselves from the remainder of the pack. Viles doing a great job here of hanging on to the two leaders here. I did say that I would have to finish up a little bit earlier today, so no interviews post-race, and Viles joked that he might therefore get a podium because it would just be sod's law that he doesn't get an interview, and I did joke that he would be on the podium, and he said no chance of that, and here he is, currently on the podium. From the onboard point of view with Viles here, you can see the rear end of the pink Honda up front, that's Eric. You can also see just how narrow this circuit is. There's so little room for error. And if you do happen to hit anything, you are going to know about it pretty much straight away, as is the person behind you. Down the extraordinarily narrow streets here in Macau. Eric starting to get that a little bit closer now to rear end of Andrew. There they come down to the start-finish straight. Eric doing a great job here of applying a lot of pressure to Andrew. Looking for a way past on the left-hand side, but Andrew's going to run defensive. Andrew lives to fight another day. Eric looking for another line down the right hand side. Maybe you're thinking about trying to outbrake Andrew. Didn't quite make it work this time round, but let's have to see if he can hang in there for another lap. A lot of smoke coming off the rear end of the Honda as Eric appears to be locking up his wheels. Further back down the grid, you've got 4th place Binding being chased down by the BMW, and Forrest McCormack has just wangled his way through there. Binding did him a favour though. Let's go back to our 2 leaders where the battle shows no signs of cooling off anytime soon. Well, there's 12.5 minutes left to go. Eric is going to have to keep applying the pressure. Hopefully Andrew doesn't get away too quickly and Eric can hang on here for the battle to continue. But I'm guessing that Eric's going to be hoping that if he can keep the pressure on, and force a mistake from the race leader and open up an opportunity to get past. Of course, a bit of a dangerous game. If he causes a mistake and he's in the wrong place at the wrong time, it will probably result in Andrew spinning out and crashing into Eric. At the moment, Andrew is clearing about half-second gap, so Eric's got a bit of work to go. Again, bit of smoke coming off Eric's rear end there. Unclear if that's wheel locking or just a little bit of drifting. From the rear end view, from Andrew's point of view, just how close Eric actually is. Even though that does say 0.7 of a second, it's not very far at all. Just see how narrow the circuit gets, so there's no chance of an overtake there. Eric right on top of Andrew now. These two seem like they're going to go for the whole 20 minutes, battling all the way. Bit of a slipstream opportunity here for Eric, but he's going to need a little bit more than this, I think, to close this gap. Andrew's not giving him any chances. Now that Eric's about 0.4 of a second behind, he's just going to be having to work that a little bit more to get close enough. Although here it comes, 0.2 of a second for Eric. He's definitely got a bit of straight line speed advantage here over the over the leader. The slipstream doing its job. But it's not that big of a pull. And you can see Andrew just a little bit later on the brakes than Eric, and that's going to make it very difficult for Eric to get past. Butterlord down in 9th place is now 1 minute 12 behind Alien, so there may be a bit of lapping going on shortly because our race leaders are starting to catch up with Butterlord. And with this being Macau, there isn't a huge amount of space for overtaking, so hopefully the overtake happens on a part of the track which is conducive to blue flags. Otherwise these two are going to get caught up in a little bit of traffic, particularly on the extremely narrow sections. Andrew clipping the wall there according to the server manager. I can imagine just going through there how difficult it would be to deal with the blue flag situation at that point. Now Butterlord is just going round the corner ahead of Andrew and Eric. So that corner that we can see at the front there, that's where Butterlord was. He's just crossing the start finish line now, so I don't think that Andrew and Eric will be catching up with Butterlord before the end of the main straight. That is going to make it very interesting to see how they deal with the traffic coming up. Quickly take a look. Oh, actually, Eric is trying to throw himself down the left-hand side here. But no opportunity presented by Andrew. And again, Andrew running very defensive now. This time Eric's in a better position. And Eric is side by side. Bit of a squeeze. Eric loses out there a little bit. Erdy and Forrest McCormack going side by side now. It's Forrest McCormack who drops down to 7th with Erdy moving up to P6. Meanwhile, Red in P5 driving the very green car. Part of the part-time racing team. So Butterlord is still ahead of Andrew and Eric, but they are coming up relatively quickly now. And Butterlord just going through the hairpin section coming up, and you can see Andrew is just entering that part of the track now. So many environmental impacts showing up on the server manager. I think some people are going to have a little bit of a ding in their safety rating after this one. So Butterlord should be visible from Andrew's cockpit in a short moment. He's just gone around that corner ahead of where Andrew is right now. So Andrew just coming through that corner now. Should get a glimpse of the Audi. There it is at the end of the straight there. Again, I think it's going to be maybe not this lap, the next lap where the blue flags incident, well, I say incident, overtake, going to happen. Eric now dropping further back though, 1.2 seconds behind, so slipstream falling away now. And that's going to make things very easy for Andrew. There's Butterlord. I think it is going to be this lap that we see overtake. So back on with Andrew. 3 minutes 42 left on the race, and Andrew's about to deal with the first of the potential backmarker overtakes, with Butterlord just ahead. And you can see how narrow this circuit is. It's not going to be a lot of room for Andrew, but they are fortunately getting closer to the wider part of the track. And there's Butterlord spinning out. Andrew's going to have to think carefully about how it goes through here. Eric is through as well. Butterlord is out of the way. I think he had a bit of an issue there. I think he might have a little bit of damage as well. So Viles is going to be next up to overtake Butterlord. Let's see what happens there. He's about 10 seconds behind his Viles, so he's got a little bit of a moment to go. There's Butterlord. Viles. Oh, it's the narrowest part of the track there, and Viles managed to sneak on through without too much issue. I wonder if Butterlord is... Oh, is this damage, or is this like some kind of controller input issue? It's scraping along the wall. Hopefully Butter can get into the pits, or at least steer clear of the other drivers. I think if I don't see Butter going into the pit lane, they will need to... I think that's the pit lane, so Butter is going to try cut across. Yeah, so Butter's going into the pit lane. We'll be aiming to repair some of that damage by the looks of it. Definitely some kind of issue here with the steering. You don't normally see damage of this nature in AC, so I don't know if this is suspension damage or something else that's going on. Anyway, Butter's in the pits, and our race leader Andrew remains in P1 with a 0.6 second lead to P2, with Eric still hunting him down but not quite managing to get there. Ooh, but Andrew makes a slight mistake in the hairpin. Unfortunately, probably not enough of a mistake for Eric to take advantage of, and in that part of the track it's very narrow, so don't think Eric had much of an opportunity there to use that mistake from Andrew, but he's now right on top of Andrew again, and on the last lap he can find a way past on this last corner, then that may be an opportunity for Eric, but I don't think Andrew's going to be too keen to let that happen. And there's Eric dropping a little bit further back. You see Andrew just carrying a bit more speed through those corners than Eric can. P1 for Andrew, P2 for Eric, and Viles getting the podium he said he wouldn't get. So well done to Viles on his podium. So Binding in 4th place, Red in P5, Ernie grabs a good P6 there, Forrest McCormack in P7, Alien looks to be set to grab P8 and Butterlord will be P9. That's a pretty sweet livery that Eric's got. Eric testing his starting strategy now. Meanwhile, Andrew just chilling. Houseman dry lining. Andrew shilling for interior improvements. Pixels faster with inverted steering. So, race number 2 should be getting underway shortly. Again, there we go. So, with race number 2, it's going to be about whether Eric can get in front of Andrew this time. It's all about who can get to that first position and stay there for the first lap. As you can see, it's a very tricky track to overtake on. I'm sure Eric is going to be hoping to wangle his way through to the first corner ahead of Andrew. Lights are up. Engines are revving. Away they go. Eric off to a good start, but will it be good enough? Doubles back to the right hand side as he tries to sneak on round the right hand side of Andrew this time, preparing for this right hander. But at the moment, looks to be in a similar position to where he was before. This time, ooh, bit of a shunt from Viles there. Thankfully, no need to restart though. I think everyone's okay. Up the hill they go for the first lap. Andrew leading once again. That's going to be frustrating for Eric, I'm sure, as he was probably trying to find a way to sneak out there early into P1, but looks like he's going to have to do this the hard way again. Once again, you can see from the rear wing of Andrew's Toyota that he is breaking away a little bit from Eric already. Meanwhile, further down in P4, we've got Forrest McCormack, Erdy and Binding. So Forrest is trying to work his way through. Steering wheel in there. Like Erdy might have caught a bit of damage just then. But out in front we've got Andrew and Eric. Eric taking a wider line this time. That's going to mean possibility here for Eric. In the background you can see red just appearing in the Audi. Eric is right on Andrew's tail now and actually going side by side as they go through the right-hander. Eric's trying to do everything he possibly can here, but Andrew's just not making this easy for him. Eric coming up pretty quickly now with a good bit of overspeed. Eric goes round to the left-hand side, trying to find his way past the immovable wall of Andrew. Whilst further back we've got Binding trying to ease his Toyota. Ooh, in the background that looked like it was Butterlord with damage again. Erdy though still leading Binding up the hill. 0.5 of a second between the two. Further up to the front, Eric still pushing with everything he's got to get past Andrew. And Andrew's not making this any easier than he usually is. Ooh, bit of an opportunity there for Eric, but actually ended up rear-ending Andrew. That's making things a little bit easier though for Red, who's catching up from the behind. On-board view from, or off-board view. Red. Bit of a honk there as well from Red. Look at this though, Eric again with the overspeed, trying to find his way. This time manages to get around the inside of Andrew, and it's almost a deal done here. He's got his front wheels alongside the rear quarter of Andrew as they come into the right-hander. That might mean that he can, for once, sneak his way past, but again, Andrew just holds on here somehow and makes things very difficult for Eric. See off-board view here from red as Eric comes up to the right-hand side. Eric and Andrew right side by side, just dealing with a bot in chat there. And Andrew is still clear by 0.6 of a second, but it's Eric needs to be worried now as Red's right on top of him. 0.3 of a second. So much smoke coming off of Eric's tyres. Eric still 0.4 of a second behind, but keeping that pressure on is important for trying to get Andrew to make a mistake. Of course, Andrew's not one to deliver a mistake easily. Always take a slightly different line through there. Eric goes wider. 0.1 of a second. This is where Eric always gets the advantage. This time he's a little bit further alongside. Andrew squeezing him as much as he dare. Eric doing everything he can, weaving left and right, trying to find his opportunity here, but Andrew's not giving an opportunity easily. Eric a bit further around the left-hand side this time to get a good run. Oh, again, just so difficult to find the opportunity here at Macau. It's very much a procession race like Monaco's. Ten minutes left on the clock. Ooh, Andrew's made a little bit of a mistake there again. But as always, that is not the place to make use of that mistake, as Eric's got nowhere to go, but Red is right in the mix now. I saw the rear of a car up front. That might mean that there's potential for blue flags to be becoming an issue. Eric's still there, 0.1 of a second behind. He's absolutely going at this hammer and tongs. It's Butterlord, I think, in front. Once again, Eric tries to go around the outside. Once again is denied. On board with the red, you can just get a flavour of just how intense this must be from the cockpit. If any of the cars ahead of red makes a mistake, he knows he's got nowhere to go. So it's going to be a really interesting situation if that does happen. Here's Butterlord though, and that is the question. Oh, he's actually decided just to get right out of the way, which is good for the guys in front. Here's Forrest McCormack though, coming up. Look at this though, red is right on Eric's tail now. Through the hairpin they go, into the downhill, very narrow section. Eric's managed to get a second behind Andrew now, so may struggle to regain that time. I think Vars had an issue earlier on, Neo, and that's why he's back down in 8th. Just under 7 minutes of time remaining though. Our top 3 drivers now are getting a little bit further apart as well, as they separate out a little bit more towards the end of this race. With 5 minutes left to go, it's whether Eric can get close enough to Andrew to challenge again. And further down, Forrest McCormack's still got 3 seconds to clear before he catches up with Red. Here comes Eric, 0.3 of a second behind. He is catching up again. Ooh, there's a spin though for Andrew, almost getting taken out there by Eric, but Eric's done the gentlemanly thing and eased back to allow Andrew to continue. .2 of a second behind for Eric though, but still just not managing to find an opportunity to convert that into an overtake, at least not one that's result of contact. But here he is trying his again, and it's like bumper cars out there with these two. They are going to be picking up a bit of a safety rating dent potentially. Every time Eric tries to go on the inside, it forces Andrew into the wall and he bounces back. Just 10 seconds left to go. Looks like Andrew sealing the deal here on another P1. This time red looks to be set to grab the podium. What's happened to Eric though? He had a bit of an issue there, and that's allowed red to get through right at the last second. And here comes Forrest McCormack, almost taking third place. Oh, he's run out of fuel. By the sounds of it. Nope. Just turn the engine off. And looks like Binding is grabbing a P5 with Alien in P6. And then Erdy coming up with a P7. So pretty good points for Erdy actually, considering. Unfortunately, Viles grabbing P8 in the second race. But not to worry, he's got his podium in the first race, which will help his points. And Butterlord finishing up in P9. Again, with a bit of damage it would seem. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Round 3 completed at Macau, and pretty good racing considering how narrow the circuit is. That could have gone so wrong in so many places, but generally seems to have gone pretty well. So big congratulations to Andrew and Eric for their double win and P2. And yeah, well done to Red, who just managed to sneak that P2 in race number 2 at the very last second. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier on, I will have to shoot off a little bit earlier today, so unfortunately no time for interviews. So the prophecy has come true that Viles would get a podium because I can't interview him. But needless to say, thank you very much for being part of the racing today and being in chat, and I wish you all a very good evening, and I'll catch up again with you soon. Very much for being part of the racing today and being in chat, and I wish you all a very good evening, and I'll catch up again with you soon.